David Raya is going to be very much in the focus again for the second Chelsea goal. You obviously feel that this is a problem that Mikel Arteta has brought on himself.
I do. Well, look, I mean, if a goalkeeper makes mistakes, then that's the goalkeeper's problem. But the problem is there's a very good goalkeeper in the waiting who hasn't done anything wrong yet this season, and he was left out of a game a month or so ago. Surprised us all. We thought it might be for a couple of games, but it looks like David Raya now is the number one. The problem is David Raya, he started to look a little nervy in the last few games. He started to make mistakes. And I've been there at United where we've had two equal goalkeepers, and the manager changed one, then he brought the other one in, and this was the greatest manager of all time. It was when Roy Carroll and Tim Howard were there. People might say, oh, they're not as good as Raya and Ramsdale. It doesn't really matter. You've got two goalkeepers who are of equal ability, and you don't know which one's your number one. You've got an issue. Trust me, you've got an issue. It happened a little bit with England when Tim Flowers was doing brilliantly for Blackburn and David Seaman was there, but quite clearly Terry Venables named David Seaman as his number one. He was adamant. So I think that there is a problem brewing here whereby Ramsdale's going to start knocking on the door and say, get me back in, and if he doesn't, he's going to ask to leave. So even though it looks like there's competition for places in the goalkeeping position, it won't last long, this. The maximum will be a season, because the goalkeeper who's not playing or feels hard done to will end up leaving and want to play Premier League football or football in a top league. And I don't think it can work, and there's nothing I'm seeing that say it can work. And I also think it puts more pressure on the one that's in, because he knows the other guy's waiting in the wings, who's very good. So to me, I think that, yeah, Raya's got to settle down. He's a good goalkeeper. Ramsdale's a good goalkeeper. They've got two very good ones. But I suspect the whole pressure of the situation, caused by me, you, everybody else talking about it on a constant basis, but ultimately caused by Mikel Arteta. He's the one that's brought this situation upon himself by having these two excellent goalkeepers that he sees as being a good problem to have. I don't think it's a good problem in that position. I know in every other position you want good competition for places, but when you've got two goalkeepers that are undermining each other by the fact that they're both good and one makes a mistake, then you look at the other one on the bench and our cameras throw to him, it just isn't healthy in that position. You need to give that goalkeeper in that position the strength of mind, you're my number one, and give him that comfort. And then change him at the end of the season if you don't think he's your number one, and let the other one go, if you know what I mean. But don't have both of them there. That's my view.
Is there a problem across the Premier League landscape in that people have seen what Ederson has done and have now become obsessed with goalkeepers who are good with their feet, and therefore the other basics of goalkeeping have almost been sidelined?
Yeah, it was his position. I mean, he had a couple of problems with his feet as well, but it was his positioning on that goal that was the problem. He was out of position. He didn't reset himself. There was one in the first half that I don't think he reset himself for as well, if I remember rightly. That to me, honestly, what would I say is the most important characteristic for me as a goalkeeper is that they dominate the area and they dominate their box. They look huge in the goal. That when there's a cross comes in, they catch it and they come out and dominate it or punch it miles away. To me, that's what I want as a defender from a goalkeeper. Now, I accept today they have to also be good with their feet, and they're not mutually exclusive. You can have both. Alisson, Ederson, and got other goalkeepers in the world, and we seem to sort of like be, yeah, but he's good with his feet, but that seems to that doesn't excuse the fact that they're in poor positions or they let goals in that they shouldn't. So you have to be good with both. But for me, the most important characteristic, and maybe it's a traditional thought process, is that I would always want a goalkeeper who's an unbelievable shot stopper, who's dominant on crosses, who basically doesn't get caught up on corners with other players around, just gets them out of the way and comes and catches. They're, to me, the most important characteristics as a defender, and I still think they would be today for most defenders out there. You'd forgive the odd bad pass or the odd boot long if they didn't want to play out through the middle, except in these goalkeepers are all pretty good with their feet. I think I've told the story quite a few times now about in Spain, where the goalkeepers joined in every part of the actual outfield session and then did the goalkeeping work at the end because they saw it as being of equal importance. Whereas in England, the goalkeepers only joined with the football part in the last bit. They used to do the goalkeeping work for the first 45 minutes of the session. So that's something that flipped on its head for me when I went away with it to Valencia for those 4 months. It completely transformed how I saw goalkeeping. But I still think the shot-stopping bit and the dominating of your area is crucial to create that composure and lack of anxiety in the ground. You don't want your goalkeeper flapping like he was on the corner, Sanchez, before. You don't want your goalkeeper getting involved in those things. You just don't. You want them just to be calm and deal with it. And that's what Ederson and Alisson do. They're world-class, Ederson and Alisson.